the line. It's a real tightrope between feeling like an asshole for holding a choke too long and then not being able to punch in the next round, and getting a sick first round choke. So it was right on the line, but he's a really good fighter, and I gave him credit in getting out of it. It wasn't like I messed up. He did everything he needed to do to get out. It was nice and tight.
How happy were you in that first round where you're improving? You're no longer a striker, complete mixed martial arts. We saw you, stuff all the takedowns against a guy who has legitimate wrestling chops.
Yeah, I think that I'm happy enough. Obviously, a ton more work to do, and I kind of like being a guy that everybody is like, oh, just a striker, or my first 3 fights or whatever, I had a lot of subs, and they're like, just a sub guy. So it's kind of nice being a mystery, but it's a nice win over a very, very good guy. So as far as just a notch on my belt, it's very, very good. Shout out to Robert Stein, the funding behind TriStar Gym, and the brains.
He says he doesn't know who you are.
Everybody loves you, Robbie.
And Chris Conner here with the Fight City. Everybody I've talked to, from Manny Montreal, Ayman Zahabi, even former teammates of yours, have said, can't miss kid, future star. How do you avoid getting a big head when you have fights like that and it seems like everything's coming just too easy?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to not get a big head, first of all, because of all the talent that's in TriStar Gym. Like, you get beat up every day, so if you're getting beat up every day, it's hard to believe that you're the man. I don't think the man gets subbed and beat up by his coach that's 10 years his senior. So there's that, and also I've been training for a long time, and I know what it takes to be very good is to understand that there's too much for you to know everything, and you have to remain, George's thing, student's mind. No matter if you're a black belt or whatever, you gotta keep training, because there's more stuff you don't know than you know. That's for sure. So it's easy not to get a big head.
The sound of that knee, was that almost jarring? Because it was jarring for people in the arena.
I mean, it was both. So I fought in Bellator twice, and both finishes that I've gotten have been like, it connects, and I'm like, oh well, that's over. It's done. And you can see on my knee, like it was a good shot. My knee is bruised, so it was. It's always weird. You don't live your everyday life hearing sounds and doing that sort of stuff to people. So when it happens, like, geez, oh man, this shit's crazy.
Is it like a positive, like, all right, I knocked this guy out, or is it like, oh, I hope he's okay? That's how I'm like.
That's where it comes after. But the initial impact, you're like, hell yeah, I hope he's down, because if he survives that, then I'm in trouble, because that was a hard knee.
Can you walk us through that? Actually, the finish, the knee, was it something you set up? Was it something that just showed up? Or?
So I credit my coach Conrad Pla. He's right over there. Between rounds 1 and round 2, we realized that he was very low, and all of my straight shots were just over his right shoulder, because he was rolling out to that side. And even if I had thrown a kick, it probably would have swung over his head. So he's told me center more stuff around his chest level. And I'm a kind of tall guy, and when I lift my knee up, it's right about chest level, and it works. So credit Conrad Pla. He's amazing.
Tell me about your Instagram. It's @RatGarbage.
That's right.
And there's almost no fighting on your Instagram at all. It's all art.
Something like that.
It's something. What is it exactly?
I like to leave it up to everybody's interpretation. I got a little Rat Garbage post on the back of this TriStar shirt. It's just a fun project for me. Fighting takes up a lot of my time, and you can become kind of a one-dimensional doofus if all you do is sit there and watch dudes punch each other all day. So I feel like it's just something that takes me out of training all the time and thinking about fighting. It's just making these, whatever they are, goofy images.
So you make them?
I make them.
How?
Just on a little like Photoshop app that I got on my browser.
On your laptop? Or
Yeah,
on your phone?
on my laptop.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is it art? Is it kind of your art?
I mean, you could call it that. I mean, it's just kind of yeah, sure, it's art. Whatever people want to call it. I take pictures of dead stuff that I find on the city streets, and I pay homage to them and give them a nice little send off.
What inspires you to do that?
Just generally kind of being a weird guy, I guess. No full inspiration there where I was like, oh wow, I gotta start taking pictures of dead rats and making them look pretty or something.
It's not all dead rats though. There's other stuff on there.
There's some snakes, there's dead birds, there's anything that's kind of down there. Maybe it started in Japan. I went to Tokyo for a friend's fight, and everybody talks about how clean Tokyo streets are, and they are very clean. But I found a dead rat on the road in Shibuya, and I was like, perfect. I'm gonna prove to everybody that I found a dead rat. And then I took a picture lying next to it, which you can see way back, and then it kind of morphed from there.
So you're kind of an artistic guy. I want to get your opinion on this photo that our photographer Mr. Lin took of the knockout that just happened.
Oh, jeez. I mean, I look very ripped, so that's kind of cool. Yeah.
Would this make the @ratgarbage Instagram?
No, not really. And that's more of a fight stuff. That's just boring.
Going off of what somebody said earlier about you being a weapon for TriStar, everybody, all your teammates talk about how good you are. One of the things that they always say too is that you're kind of the secret weapon, that you don't necessarily get as many fights as you want. Do you think with that knee that's going to change going forward? You try to stay more active and get in there more often?
Yeah, you just. I think with a career in MMA, you just need to be intelligent, and we were talking about it earlier. You take the fights that make sense, and when you feel like fighting, because I'm a guy, I don't always feel like. You ask me next week, I'm not going to be mentally prepared to just fight a guy, but I would like to fight more frequently. It's just got to be right. You just got to feel right. The money's got to be right. Skill in fighting and fighting, they do go hand in hand, but I think you can be a very good fighter and fight once a year, just like all the champions do, or mostly,
So what do you want to improve on? Because we know you can strike. You've shown you can now defend takedowns. What do you feel is the next part you want to start working to, let's say, perfect?
Yeah, I think just poise. You watch a guy who's been in the sport for a long time, and all the guys that have been in the sport for 5 years plus, fighting frequently, they all have a level of composure in good positions and in bad positions, in long fights and in short fights, that less experienced fighters don't have. And I think that's the next level of being a great fighter, is fighting well all the time. Consistency. I think that would be it. It was generating a level of poise where no matter what happened in the 2 previous rounds, I'm the same fighter in the third. And I think that's important. And knowing I can do that consistently. George's fight in New York last year was a great example of a guy who hasn't fought in over 3 years and is doing something completely new, and he looks like the fighter he was before as far as skill goes. And that's a level of mastery that I would like to get to.
One more, guys.
Mandel, you're undefeated. You just got another highlight reel knockout. It's going to be all over Bellator.com, YouTube, all over the place. Big knockout on one of the biggest cards of the year. You're in a great weight class. What do you want next? Who do you want next?
I haven't really thought about it. Obviously, I will leave that up to my competent team. I'm sure there's plenty of good matchups here. I don't look at enough fights to know a name to call out. But Faraz is a smart guy, and he's better at that than I am. So that's who I will put my. You heard it here first.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Weight cutting's easy, so we'll make it no problem. We'll cut that. Can I give some shout outs?
Yeah, of course.
Shouts out to, obviously, Faraz Zahabi, Conrad Plas, Steven Sims, my corners, TriStar Gym, everybody there, I love you all. And my family, mom, dad, Adrian, Sierra, and my barber, Louis Sanudakis, great fighter. And my wife, beautiful wife, Evelyn Dell.
Congratulations.